Hello and welcome back to the GSL Code A. We're now in our losers match between Hurricane, the former FX Open / OU player, up against Cure, and a Protoss versus Terran. One of these two players is going to Code B, the other one, of course, advanced to play against Panic in our final constellation match.
Hurricane had a little bit of a tough time against Panic in the Protoss versus Protoss, and if he actually is able to win against Cure here, he has to go up against the Protoss opponent once again in the constellation match. Just a few minutes ago, we had Panic losing to Roro in the winners match, and Roro currently qualified for Code S. There we have the two players that we see in our losers match here in the Protoss versus Terran. Jin Greenwing's Cure with a showing against Roro earlier was taken out by an 0-2 as well.
We talked about Hurricane being really good in this matchup in the very beginning of Part of the Swarm. He was very aggressive, looked really solid in the matchup. He looked like he could be a good Terran sniper for the team league. And now he's teamless, and he's down in the series. He lost 0-2. He cannot afford a loss here because he's teamless. Something that Cure has on his back at the very least. He's got a great team to support him, so even if he loses here, he's always got Pro League. For Hurricane, this is a really, really important match. See if he can take it. Going to our very first map, Frost, here at the GSL Code A, Caldor and Wolf.
Hurricane versus Cure.
Hurricane starting to the bottom right of the map. Our Protoss player here, the former FX Open player in this loser match, going up against the Terran opponent. And Hurricane himself with a pretty good track record against Terran. Let's see what he can do against this Jin Greenwing's opponent. To the top left in teal, we have Cure, who lost to Roro in the first best of 3 of the day today.
Also has pink earbuds.
Yep.
There's so many different earbuds in Korea you can buy, and I'm surprised he took the pink ones. Maybe they were a spare, and he was like, I don't have my blue ones, but I'll take the pink ones. But maybe he likes pink.
It's a possibility. Who knows?
It could be the case. I'm not going to judge him for it,
Maybe his earbuds broke and his sister lent him his.
Yeah, that could be the case. But this is something I noticed. He has pink ones. I noticed, I think Roro earlier had blue ones.
Well, whatever the color of the earbuds, what's happening right now is Gas taking for Cure. And Cure, if you look at his matchup statistics against Protoss, I mean, first of all, Hurricane, we talked briefly about him being really good in this matchup. And he has a 60% win ratio going up against Terran. One of the reasons why we was talking about him being a potential sniper in the GSTL last season. If on the other hand you look at Cure, he is a little bit shaky against Protoss. He has a 37% win ratio, losing just recently to Super, for example. But at the qualifier for Code A, he actually did quite well against Protoss. He took down Creator with a 2-0, he took down Zest with a 2-1, and in the first round that he played, he was successful against a Protoss player named Hush with 2-1 as well. So his statistics definitely not good. But at least in the WCS qualifier, he had a decent run against TOS. So maybe that carries over into this group stage that we have right now. Let's see what he can do. But just on paper, Hurricane the favorite in the series for sure.
Yeah. Well, he has... he's going to get a faster Nexus up because he has the gas mining in such a weird way. He has 2-in-1 and 1-in-1, which might not even be intentional, but he's going to be able to get the Nexus before his Mothership Core as a result. There's the Nexus, and he'll go Mothership Core and then Warp Gate Research, because that's the best order for things in this matchup. Getting Warp Gate Research out before the Mothership Core doesn't actually help you that much. Every second, though, the Mothership Core's building energy is so useful for time warps, if you're going to harass, if you're going to poke, also for, of course, that overcharge later on, and even a recall, maybe, depending on what he wants to do with the Mothership Core, but it's really, really important to build that energy. I mean, you think about how important it is to build Sentry energy and multiply that by like 3. That's Mothership Core.
Yeah, with the cross position that we have on the map, it's a little bit less likely that Cure is even trying to go for an aggressive bio push and moving in. But one pylon already spotted here, and that has to be cancelled.
That's really annoying for Hurricane.
Yeah, nice map awareness here by Cure, seeing that right away.
We have actually a factory coming up for Cure back at home, so he's going to be putting on some possibly quick drop aggression, more likely than not, as he is, of course, still using that reactor for Marines right now.
And now that we see the Stargate, it looks a little bit like Hurricane was planning to proxy that Stargate.
Yeah, I think so. What I'd really like to see from Hurricane is the same style we saw from Classic or you go Oracle into Phoenixes to defend drop play. Once he identifies that it's a factory he's up against, he's actually totally blind in this game. He's not been able to get any information. Not only did he kind of get his probe kill over there, he didn't get that proxy up, and he's playing totally blind, and what he finds with his Oracle might be able to help him shut down the drops. But I think information-wise, this is not a good place to be for Hurricane, because if he starts his Phoenix late, it's not going to be good.
Well, the Reaper is still sticking around. The Oracle, of course, has been started back at home. Cure going into his own starport now, and we have him with the Marines cranked out of that one barracks with a reactor. But we also see the first few Widow Mines, and that is where things get very dangerous if you move with an Oracle in to take a few probes down. Sorry, a few SCVs down.
Yeah. If he makes a second Oracle, ooh, Oracle scouted here. It's a great scan. If he actually makes a second Oracle, then he's going to have that detection, but at the same time, he's not going to be able to shut down the drop. It looks like he's going to wait with his Marines because he saw this, and he's like, well, I invested in gas, you invested in gas, so I'm going to make my investment better, more efficient.
That Oracle shouldn't do anything. He knows it's there, he has the Marines, he has Widow Mines in position, he's sending his own drop out now, and the drop is going to run straight into that Oracle.
Yeah, it is.
That's...
The drop is actually, well...
moving away.
He barely sees it, but it's not even really a scary drop. It's only got 2 Marines and a Widow Mine in here. This Widow Mine will kill this Oracle.
And bye.
Goodbye. 1 kill.
1 kill, and that's it. So that investment did not really pay off. Very low ROI.
This is terrible for Hurricane. He's got to be so frustrated right now. The Reaper comes near the natural to try to draw the units away, and he does exactly that, even forcing a warp in over here. Now he's going to boost in with his second Widow Mine. And there's no detection over here. He doesn't have that Oracle because it died. No cannon, and this is going to stop mining here for a long time. At least not consistent mining.
Well, that's the observer now, so
yeah,
at least you can get that. But 1 kill on the Widow Mine. It's not going to end the Protoss player or anything like it, but it's of course a little bit annoying.
Did he think he got it?
Lost. I think he does. Yes.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's bad. That's really bad.
I mean, he's going to get at least 1 more kill in the worst case. Yeah, he definitely thinks he got it. Or he thinks that Observer's going to rally it out in time, and it's not.
No. He thinks he got it.
Yeah, he doesn't rally it over.
Moves to the top.
If he targets it, he could get like 4. Only gets a second one.
He gets 1. Yeah, that could have been much, much worse. Now he moves back with the Observer. Oh, he's waiting for the last one, for the next one.
That's still really annoying. Any kill you lose like that is frustrating. Plus he has to make a 3rd Observer, which is using his robotics time and costing him some gas.
We are seeing triple factory. It's gonna be mech.
I was like so concerned about that Widow Mine. I didn't even notice this was happening. Wow. Okay, so Cure is... He mech'd against Zerg, now he's meching against Protoss.
Yeah, we had
he's meching Artosis happy.
Supernova was doing this.
Yeah, he's the only successful mech player against Protoss that we've had so far in Korea.
That is definitely something that he's not expecting. So against mech, usually we see a ton of Immortals. Immortals are absolutely great. They counter, for example, siege tanks immediately. So at this point, we have another armory being built. He can go into the double upgrades.
Does he know? He has an Observer nearby, but I think he's just checked the 3rd base and he didn't even try to go to the natural. He was like, oh, he'll scan and kill me with his bio. But there is no bio. It's mech instead. Okay, now he sees. Or does he? I think he sees.
Not really. I mean, he sees the siege tank moving out, but he doesn't know that it's really a mech commitment.
Okay, he starts a Void Ray, and I think that's kind of saying he knows. If he starts range 2, he might think this is a siege tank Marine push, like old school style. This is really weird. I think that Hurricane wants to start a second robotics relatively soon here.
We had his vision briefly. He doesn't know about those factories. He only saw one, and he saw a siege tank come out.
He saw like a second factory silhouette, but he probably thinks it's the same factory, just moved forward, which is actually what his vision tells him that it is. So he doesn't have any reason to believe that it's mech 100%, especially because he's seen so many Marines already. 14 Marines, so it's like a transition into mech. It's not mech from the beginning. You never make this many Marines if you want to go pure mech from the start.
Well, that 3rd base is so important for Kyo now. He starts with this blue flame upgrade. We have Halberds coming in. Hurricane, on the other hand, he's moving out now. He wants to be aggressive with this and maybe even take down that 3rd. The problem for him really being that all those siege tanks are already in a sieged up position, and we have Vikings that can push those Colossi back a little bit. Take down one of the observers, even limit the vision of Hurricane.
The Vikings are really important also against the Void Ray, because the Void Ray can kill so many siege tanks by itself. Here comes a Colossus to defend this drop, but he's already gotten some damage done, and with the splits on these Marines, it doesn't get a ton. But that Colossus will finally clean it up. He's more concerned about this push that's coming across the map. Guardian Shield goes up. Does he really want to attack into this location? With only 7 warp gates against this many siege tanks, this seems suicidal.
Yeah, it looks like it. On the other hand, he's trying just to circumvent this army and maybe move up onto that high ground.
Yeah, he's going to try for it, and that's a better engagement for sure. Guardian Shield goes up. Still a few siege tanks here to help buffer.
Yeah, the siege tank's doing damage. Immortal already walking to the front, but immediately Hurricane decides that it's time to move back and call it a day for now, because he is not going to move into 5 sieged up tanks. That is very suicidal, especially with the +1 attack upgrade already completed.
He's still going to commit to the attack because he doesn't have a third base. He knows his opponent's third base is way ahead, and his tech is in a terrible place for what he's facing. That Void goes down, and this is his last attempt here, but the siege tanks are so well protected.
He doesn't even need to pull those SCVs. He does it for now and tries to block there a little bit, but the Immortal is nearly gone. I mean, he's already losing all his hardened shields.
Yep.
And there are more and more siege tanks now on the high ground. It's 3 bases against 2.
Zealots don't have charge. You know, if they had charge, this might have been a different engagement, right?
Very little that Hurricane can do at this point.
He can't take a third base because he's being denied right now by a Marine. He starts the Nexus barely. You guys didn't get a shot of it, but there's a Marine over there that spots that. And barely didn't kill the probe.
+2 attack has been started for Q. We also have him with a +1 armor upgrade.
Worker count right now is obviously ahead for Cure as well, plus the mules and the gas income he has is going to allow him to continue those upgrades, which, by the way, for Hurricane, I think he only has +1 armor, or maybe he has 1/1, but he doesn't have any +2s.
Vikings already trying to move in and zone out those Colossi. He wants to get those forward pylons, and he's actually getting the first one. Going to get the second one in just a second.
Yeah. Second robotics finally going down here. He's so diligent about killing these observers as well. Just making sure that there's no vision so he doesn't find the best angle to attack.
So far, Q gets a pretty good start into this game with his composition.
Looks like a StarCraft 1 base right there. Machine shops instead of tech labs. And there's the +2 attack coming down, so he does have +1.
And a Ghost Academy against the Immortals. The one big problem that you have if you go in a very siege tank heavy mech composition against Protoss is that Immortals are just absolutely great, since the hardened shields nearly take no damage from a siege tank. So what you want to do is add a few goats to your composition, go in, EMP the Immortals, and then the siege tanks can do the damage.
Yeah. You want to equate this to how this matchup was played in Brood War with all the siege tanks going out, and of course vultures. The ghosts are kind of like the science vessels, as the EMP and the ability to shut down those arbiters. This is just not an engagement that Hurricane can really get anything done with. He's like going around here with his stalkers that are trying to find a weak point, but there's just nothing. There's no angle for him. There's the Mobius reactor being researched, so we get those ghosts out with full energy, at least full starting energy right at the beginning.
Upgrades are about to be completed, at least the set that he's working on right now. We do not see the ghosts in the composition just yet, but the Terran player is already starting to move across the map while taking another base now, at least building that command center, that fourth that he has there. 13 siege tanks now in total, 3 Vikings. Could use a few more to keep those Colossi at bay.
That Hellbat drop could do a lot. The one here at the natural looks like it's going to be shut down easily, but the one at the third base is a totally different story. Instead of going for the third base, in fact, he goes for the natural. Hellions are going to the third base. They're going to attack from the high ground, so a great choice here. And the natural now under attack by those Hellbats.
And he doesn't... Oh, now he pulls the probes back at the third base, but he lost quite a few already, and he doesn't have mining there anymore. He'll still drop in the main base. +3 attack also started for Cure. He's really diligent about those upgrades.
Yeah. And that's going to be into those Hellions, but he lost so much mining time. He's down 16 Harvesters now against a Terran player who's taken a 4th base. And I think that this game really snowballed out of control because Hurricane misread what he's up against. He played defensively and got Colossi out with range because he thought he was hitting a tank Marine timing against him, which he was probably shocked by, especially at these positions. Then when he got to his opponent's base, it was a ton of siege tanks, and it was 3 base with mech, and he's just sitting there going, oh my god, I've done the wrong thing here.
I feel to a very high degree it's all about how those ghosts are going to work against the Immortals. The Immortal count is going to get higher and higher, and they really need to get those EMPs off against the hardened shields. If the Immortals still have those and the EMPs don't hit, then with a few more Immortals he can do a lot of work against the mech army. So I feel this is going to be one of the most important things later on for unit control.
Also, he doesn't have any Void Rays in his army. Void Rays would be great against this low Viking count. And then, of course, the Ghosts are pretty good against that, too. It's just that the Siege Tank count is so high that he's going to need an Immortal count that's about almost half of it maybe because of the EMPs, because even though Immortals are great against siege tanks, if they can't ever close the distance and get there, then it doesn't matter. I like that he uses these Stalkers to do little pokes like this. He just has to make sure he doesn't lose them because they're too expensive to replace.
He's taking a lot of shots here and blinks back, but he loses 1 or 2. The War Prism here taken out by the few Vikings that we have in the game.
Is he really going to try to attack into this directly? I don't think so, but he could poke a little bit. Maybe buy himself a little more time at his 4th base. Ouch.
I mean, another thing that he can go for in the long run would be Tempests.
Yeah, that's true too, but he needs a little bit more time for that. He's going to need a 4th base for sure.
I mean, he builds a 4th, so that's why I'm saying it. Like, he could go into Tempest, but he needs the time, and I'm not quite sure if Q is really willing to give him the time.
Well,
Charge is going to help a little bit.
Charge is going to help a little bit. Storm is going to help.
+3 attack for the Colossi is going to be big, also, of course, for the Immortals.
The Ghosts are also, of course, going to be very useful against those High Templar. This is not worth it to trade for these siege tanks like this. If he gets a few SCVs, he can try to make it worth it.
Well, he's harassing that as long as there are only 2 siege tanks, he snipes them. I feel it's fine.
He just is losing way too much.
Make sure that he's moving back with the rest. I'm actually absolutely okay with these attacks. You just put a Thorn into the side of the Terran player and you do some damage. Sniping 2 of the tanks, losing 1 or 2 Stalkers is okay if you take a few SCVs with you.
Well, Stalkers aren't really going to be that useful in the late game anyways, because you're going to want more. I mean, you want a few Stalkers, but you're going to want more Immortals, you're going to want more High Templar, and possibly even more Colossi. I think 4 is about as much as he wants right now. Because when you have Colossi in this matchup, when you're playing against Mech, you have to have the Colossi doing all their damage, and they don't have time to bump into each other and walk around in the back while siege tanks are shooting at them. So you don't want to have really any problem with getting those. They need to be spread perfectly too before they engage.
11 Immortals, and it's all about the Immortals and the Ghosts now, I feel. Those High Templars can, of course, also go for the feedbacks and try to take them out. Nice EMP. That was the money EMP right there, taking all the energy away. Here we have a couple of feedbacks. Here are those Storms, and immediately the EMPs against those Immortals, and just look how fast they are gone.
That is game over. The Vikings clean up the Colossi, and this looks silly. This is how...
That's brutal. I was like, what?
This is how Megas is played against Protoss. You have to have the Ghosts, and you know, obviously he got ahead early on in this game, but
that was David Copperfield performing a magic trick, making all those Immortals disappear within half a second. I mean, look at that! It was 1 EMP and suddenly a volley of siege tank shots, and 11 Immortals were just gone.
It's true. Even without the EMPs, the Immortals will have a hard time against that many siege tanks. But GG, Hurricane just realizes there's nothing he can do at this point. And Cure takes game 1.
Making it work.
I'm kind of curious to see if he's going to try this again. I think the spawning locations on the map made it a lot easier for him to execute a push like this, or a build like this, I should say. It wasn't really a push. And also, Hurricane didn't read the situation correctly at first, which gave him a bit of a problem. When he attacked into those siege tanks, he was like, what? And I can't just go back and take a 3rd base because you already have a 3rd base, you're already way ahead of me in economy, and I can't let you get that mech army for free.
I also don't think that this is a strategy that Hurricane is facing a lot.
No, I mean, it's not a strategy anybody's really facing a lot unless you're playing Supernova for some reason.
Yeah. So he probably didn't really know what to do there. I feel that he had a few other opportunities. Tempest, if he can buy himself the time, would have been good. But that EMP against the High Templars was already great, and he needed to spread out his Immortals a lot more. If you get EMP'd like this and you lose the Hardened Shields, then the Immortals just don't stand a chance against the Thrones.
They're not useful at all without it. Absolutely correct. Heavy Rain is the map that Hurricane picks. I'm hoping that Cure actually tries it again. I hope that we see Mech in game number 2. I don't think he will, because I think it's just a map build that he's chosen, that he was thinking about doing. And it's a build that's so hard to pull off. I think he's going to go into standard play here, but I really want to see him do it again and see if Hurricane can respond a little bit better.
Well, we're going to find out right now. The second game coming up here at the losers match at the GSL Code. Cure in a lead with a 1-0 against his Protoss opponent. And Hurricane losing 3 in a row now really needs to step things up if he doesn't want to fall down into Code B right away again. Heavy Rain is his map choice. That's where he can now shine against his opponent. In the Protoss vs. Terran, GSL Code Group F, brought to you by Calvin Wolf.